On the morning of October 2, 2017, the skies over Europe fell silent as Monarch Airlines ceased operations, leaving thousands stranded in airports from Dublin to Barcelona. Passengers stranded across Europe when Britain's fourth largest airline died, clutching boarding passes that suddenly meant nothing. It was a scene that unfolded like a modern tragedy, a nation's confidence in its low-cost carrier shattered in a single brutal sunrise. Founded in 1967 as a modest charter outfit, Monarch began its ascent from a single aircraft, a twin-engine BAC 111, servicing holidaymakers bound for the sun-kissed coasts of Spain and Greece. By the 1990s, the airline had transformed into a hybrid carrier, blending scheduled services with its charter routes, and a sleek fleet of Boeing 757 and 767 began to crisscross the continent. The brand's promise was simple: affordable, reliable travel for the everyday Briton, and the public responded with enthusiasm. The 2000s saw Monarch riding the wave of a booming low-cost market, expanding routes to Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and even North America. Its bold acquisition of a fleet of former Thomas Cook aircraft in 2009, coupled with an aggressive pricing strategy, catapulted passenger numbers past 4 million annually. At its height, Monarch flew to more than 80 destinations, employing over 2,000 staff and claiming the title of the United Kingdom's fourth largest airline. The sky seemed limitless, and the company's glossy adverts painted a picture of perpetual ascent. Yet, beneath the polished veneer, warning signs flickered like warning lights on a cockpit panel. The 2008 financial crisis had already bruised the industry, and Monarch's thin profit margins left it vulnerable to any economic tremor. In 2014, the airline's parent company, Grable Capital, injected fresh capital, but the lifeline came with strings: cost-cutting mandates that slashed maintenance budgets and deferred aircraft upgrades. Internal memos leaked in 2015 revealed concerns over aging aircraft, with engineers warning that the fleet's average age was approaching 22 years, well beyond the industry average for low-cost carriers. Compounding the internal strain, external pressures mounted. The rise of ultra-low-cost rivals such as EasyJet and Ryanair forced Monarch into a relentless price war, eroding yields and squeezing cash flow. Seasonal volatility also proved unforgiving. A harsh winter in 2016 saw a 15% drop in holiday bookings, and the airline's reliance on summer traffic left it exposed. Moreover, regulatory scrutiny intensified after a 2016 incident where a Monarch flight experienced an engine failure, prompting the UK Civil Aviation Authority to flag maintenance lapses that the airline had previously downplayed. By early 2017, the financial picture had darkened. Quarterly reports disclosed mounting losses, and the airline's balance sheet reflected a £120 million debt burden. Attempts to secure a £35 million rescue package from a consortium of investors stalled, as potential backers balked at the airline's deteriorating asset base and the looming specter of a post-Brexit market. In a desperate move, Monarch's board announced a temporary suspension of services on September 14, promising a rapid restart, an assurance that would prove empty. The final blow came on September 28, when Grable Capital declared that Monarch could not meet its £125 million debt obligations, and a petition for liquidation was filed with the High Court. The announcement reverberated through airports, flights were abruptly cancelled, passengers were escorted onto the tarmac, and the airline's call centers were flooded with frantic callers seeking answers. Within hours, the company's website went dark, and the familiar Monarch logo was replaced by a stark notice: "Operation ceased." In the aftermath, the human cost was immediate and palpable. Over 30,000 passengers found themselves stranded, their luggage abandoned on conveyor belts, their itineraries torn apart. Airport staff, unprepared for the scale of the crisis, attempted to rebook travelers on rival airlines, but capacity was limited, and many were forced to spend nights in unfamiliar terminals. The UK government's Civil Aviation Authority launched an emergency response, coordinating with European counterparts to provide temporary assistance, yet the logistical nightmare persisted for days. The collapse also sent shockwaves through the industry. Suppliers faced unpaid invoices, leading to a cascade of financial claims that threatened to destabilize other small carriers. The airline's 2,000 employees, many on fixed-term contracts, faced sudden unemployment, prompting a wave of protests outside Monarch's headquarters in London. Labor unions demanded swift government intervention, arguing that the airline's failure highlighted systemic vulnerabilities in the UK's aviation safety net. Regulators responded with a series of reforms aimed at preventing a repeat of the disaster. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency tightened oversight on maintenance reporting, and the UK introduced stricter solvency requirements for airlines operating domestic routes. In addition, a consumer compensation scheme was fast-tracked, ensuring that stranded passengers could claim refunds and assistance without the months-long legal battles that had plagued previous airline collapses. For the passengers who endured the chaos, the experience lingered as a cautionary tale. Online forums filled with stories of missed family events, lost business opportunities, and the emotional toll of being stranded far from home. Yet, amid the frustration, there emerged a surprising narrative of solidarity. Strangers sharing meals in airport lounges, volunteers offering blankets, and airline staff working overtime to guide bewildered travelers to alternative flights. Monarch's rise and fall encapsulate the volatile nature of modern aviation, a sector where ambition collides with economics, where a single misstep can send an entire empire crashing to the tarmac. Subscribe to The Collapse for more stories like this.